Hey everyone, Leanne Pilkington here for the very latest Courageous Conversation. And with me, I have got Suzanne Hopman from the charity Dignity. Hey Suzanne, how are you?
Yes, hi.
Thank you so much for being with me. Dignity is my charity of choice for the Real Estate Institute of New South Wales this year. And you spoke at our recent Women in Real Estate conference, and the response was overwhelming, wasn't it?
Absolutely. So many people engaged and wanting to help, and
Yeah.
curious about homelessness and what we're doing.
So let's firstly just talk about that. What are the services that Dignity provide?
So Dignity empowers people with dignity, and prevent, respond to, and end homelessness in Australia. We provide crisis accommodation, so temporary supported accommodation, and meals, and support to be able to resolve homelessness.
And you sort of refer to yourselves as the paramedics of homelessness, right? So you're there. So, for example, if I had an issue today and I had a massive physical altercation with my husband, I know it wouldn't happen, baby. Don't worry. Don't take it seriously. And I was on the street, then what would happen?
Yeah, so you're right. We were the first responders of homelessness.
Yeah.
So whenever anyone is experiencing homelessness, they would reach out to them, usually to a government homelessness line.
So that's where the connection comes.
Right, and then that referral then comes to what's the most appropriate service in the location where somebody's experiencing the homelessness.
Yeah.
So in the locations where Dignity is operating, people are most likely to be referred to come into us for that immediate response.
Okay, and so then what happens? There, you've got accommodation.
Yeah, so when there's always the trauma that's led to the homelessness for somebody, sure, and then the trauma of the homelessness itself. So no two stories of homelessness are ever exactly alike, but there is always a fear of what is coming next, and so people arrive in that state of heightened fear and that come to our properties, and there's a real shift, Leanne. It's something that when you walk through the door of one of our properties, they are absolutely beautiful. So you hear this big exhale. Oh, okay, I'm here. I'm somewhere safe.
Because I was going to say that just safety is so compromised, right? So that's the biggest fear. So to walk in somewhere and feel safe, that'd be massive.
Yeah, and for us, the definition of homelessness is no safe place to stay. So it's very much centred around that safety and fear. And so when they walk into our properties, to say they're just beautiful. We've got queen size beds with clean, crisp white linen and beautiful toiletries at the end of the bed and fluffy towels, and then we have meals made by our team of volunteers.
Wow.
And that come in there, and they're home cooked meals, so there's choice and availability depending. They're as much as they want whenever they like. And just after, so that first response and exhale, if you like, a good night's sleep, comfortable bed, feeling safe and secure, and something to eat, and the next day things look a bit different.
Okay.
And that's
so sorry, go on.
No, as I say, so our support workers are there in that immediate, and it's sometimes a time for listening and downloading, and other times people aren't ready to share or don't want to, and that's absolutely fine. We're really conscious of not re-traumatizing and allowing people to move through the journey themselves. But we find the next day then that's when people are often ready to engage with our support services. So our support worker on site, looking at what those individual options might be for that person.
Okay, so they don't typically stay with you for very long. It's just that emergency response, and then you help them find what the next options are.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which can be very varied. I mean, our youngest guest with a 3-day-old baby, who,
Gosh.
yes, mum and dad came home from hospital with baby and cried all the way through the night, as babies sometimes do. And dad said, if you don't shut that baby up, I'll kill you both.
Wow.
So mum picked up baby and, came in, run out of there, with nothing. No, she had a phone but didn't have a charger. There's no nappies or anything for the baby, and no clothes. So, Dignity, in that first responder, was able to provide what she needed. And for her, it just took a couple of days for her to gather herself together and what her next move was.
Yeah.
And had family interstate that, she was able to, to go and stay with for a while. So, but what she needed in that moment was just that first response.
Yeah. I mean, it's really easy to see how if she didn't have that, she could have literally been on the street with nothing, and a 3-day-old baby on the streets with nothing. Could have anything could have happened.
Right. Where do you go? What do you do?
Horrifying.
And when you're in trauma, experiencing trauma, it's really hard to think clearly sometimes.
Well, that's right. That part of your brain literally shuts down, doesn't it? So you can't think clearly.
Yeah, I sort of think of trauma as, sometimes a bit like someone gets your brain and rattles it, and things aren't quite connected, and sometimes really simple instructions or things that would be easier beforehand it just become harder. So it's really important those first few days to have somewhere to gather yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, how did this all start? Why did you get involved in this in the first place? Because you're the CEO, right? You started this organisation.
Yes. I've been in social services for a long time, and just became increasingly frustrated by the gaps in the system, and people that I felt needed more support in, especially in those first few days.
Yeah.
And it just got to the point there are several things that that led me to, I can't do this anymore, and it can't work in this, and so I ended up leaving.
Was it too much red tape, or not enough empathy, or what were the?
I'll give you one of those moments is that I was visiting someone who was experiencing homelessness with her children, and they were in a really, really dodgy motel. Holes in the doors, the lock didn't work, particularly well. Thick layer of grime on the floor, cockroaches under the bed, and no food, none of those essential supplies that were needed in that moment. And I just remember walking out of there going, this isn't okay.
No.
And when you're working in the sector, you can't do it yourself for each and every person.
No.
So I did run and got some food and supplies and whatnot.
And half of the time, I bet you're paying for that yourself, right?
Oh, we all do in the sector. When there's not funds, you can't walk past a human need.
No.
But I thought, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
There has to be something that I can be doing systemically, and so I quit my job, and I said, I'm going to work on this. So 6 months in the planning of just dreaming about a better way and how to make it happen and what I needed to do. And hadn't done those things before, registering a charity and going through all those tips, but just each barrier that came up, jumping through to get to, in 2015, opening a first home in, it was actually in the Southern Highlands.
Nice.
And taking that risk, saying, I don't know.
So I mean, it's such a big thing to do. And so the first home in the Southern Highlands, do you own that property, or do you rent? How do you fund that?
Look, again, starting something new in the charity sector, it's really hard to get financial backing and support. It's so I ended up using the money from the sale of my home. to start the first one.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just get to a point and you say, what are the alternatives for me? I needed to do it.
Bugger it. I'm just going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Bugger it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And, so that was the funding of the first one, only leasing properties, but it did take a fabulous owner because to take that chance on what I was trying to achieve there.
Yeah.
And then that first week, not knowing how busy we would really be, it was full, and I was turning people away. Wow,
that's when you stand there and go, right, okay, this is important, and I've just got to do what I've got to do to make it happen.
Yes, yeah. So I was doing everything at that point, from cleaning, cooking,
really?
Doing the support stuff, my own not so great bookkeeping there. and then gradually built from that one first home now to 22 locations, so, and with multiple some of them are multiple developments in and housing, being able to support up to 250 people a night.
Wow. Yeah. You must be so proud.
It's just it's right from the beginning. You just keep pushing through the next barrier and the next hurdle and growing. And now, of course, I have an absolutely fabulous team of people who are equally dedicated as I was back then, who who do the heavy lifting and who pull it all together and have so much admiration and complete trust in the team, and the vision just keeps evolving. Yeah,
that's fantastic. It really it's in a relatively short period of time, right? 2015. So and so the cooking, like, how do you find people to cook the meals for 250 people a night?
Right, so it again started from very humble beginnings in my kitchen, and then gradually more and more people heard about what we were doing and jumped on board as volunteers. We've been backed from the start from Oz Harvest, which is a food.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, so they take food destined for landfill and distribute it to charities in the raw ingredients sort of stage. So it's again, it was in my garage, our first distribution centre, and that's where the food was raw ingredients was delivered, and then the volunteers come and see what's available. So we've got chicken, we've got pasta, we've got vegetables. Let's make a chicken veggie pasta, and then they're in single serves that are then, so they take that home, cook them, return them back, and then they're distributed out to our homes and can be reheated as needed. Yeah, right. But because we've got such a wide variety of cooks now, the fabulous thing is that we ask people to cook what they would like to eat for themselves. Okay. Yep. So that means that we have such great variety for people who are coming into us, and they can say, oh, no, I feel like this today. And it's wonderful the way it's worked out. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so we make now over 130,000 meals a year. And purely from food relief and our dedicated team of volunteer cooks. Wow, that's incredible. And do you get any government funding? We do receive some government funding. Yeah, it's not on a grant basis, so it's not secured. It's on a night by night sort of basis, right? And per person. So if you and some of that is secured, for certain periods of time. But if you imagine the alternative to us, so if we're not in a location, then it could possibly be that motel that I was describing earlier. Yeah. We don't compete with other charities. There's not really in your space. There's no one else in your space. No. So if we don't have availability, or we're not in a particular area, it varies. Sometimes they are, quite decent accommodation. Other times
they're just not. Yeah, wow. And your locations, are they regional as well as Sydney? Because you've only got houses in New South Wales at the moment, is that right?
Yes, we do. Just growing as we are, we hope to expand to all states in the coming years. But there's so much need in New South Wales as well. We have been in regional areas.
Yeah.
And then we found that the need diminishes after we go there for a certain period of time, because we're able to resolve a lot of the longer term chronic illness. Yes.
That's fantastic.
Really is. So
yeah.
It's a very flexible model. It's one of the reasons we don't own property.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
But we do take longer leases, and at sometimes, and other times we use development sites on very short leases where developers are waiting for approvals to go ahead. We use some properties there, and we have some studio style apart units that are brand new builds that we take the head lease on.
Yeah. Okay. And so do you have a real estate division now that looks after all of that?
We could use help.
Sounds like it.
We lease from fabulous real estate agents.
Yeah, right.
And who manage that. They the guys are the professionals in the space. It's not something we want to enter into.
Yeah.
We work in partnership with agents to find and to maintain those properties. It's really important that we have great relationships for not only for ourselves but also for the people that we're supporting who are experiencing homelessness, and being able to have them stay with us and see their capability, their living skills capability, and their ability to maintain a private rental, particularly. It is important. So if someone's coming from us and we give that recommendation, it really is an honest feedback on that. Not everybody is able to maintain a private rental.
Sure.
Yeah.
We certainly understand that. So obviously a lot of our audience here are real estate agents. So what would it take for you to go, for example, to Melbourne? What would you need to be able to expand into Victoria?
The housing system is largely a government state by state system. So at the moment, we're looking at the opportunities, because we do need to have some government involvement in to be able to do it. Obviously, there's a gap in that, but needs to have some basis of that. So it's working alongside the governments first to understand the systems, and then collaborating with what is already existing to make sure we're working within the gap, that we're filling the gaps, not duplicating services.
Yeah, for sure.
So really understanding, and then when we've got all of those things in place, which we're working on now, then it'll be about identifying the best areas to
where the need is,
where that need is, and then approaching agents and in those areas and saying, can you help us secure property?
Well, when you get to the stage that you need to connect with agents, please let me know, because I know people around the country.
Wonderful.
So you guys have also won a number of Telstra awards, haven't you? Tell me about that, because it's unusual for some of the awards that and I should have done my research, but I don't remember which one it was that you won, but I know it was unusual for a charity to win.
Yes. So we won this Social Change Maker of the Year in New South Wales, and then went on to the Nationals, and we won the National Social Change Maker of the Year in 2019. But what was the really surprising award was we won the Telstra Australian Business of the Year award, and that's the National Business of the Year.
Wow.
And it's the first time in the 27-year history of the awards that a charity has won. And
that's amazing.
It's just unheard of. But
so why do you think you won it?
if you know anything about the Telstra Business Awards, they really micro-analyze your business. They go into every aspect. It's a very stringent process with a team of experts in their various fields. So they look at business acumen, they look at your people and culture and your values, and really delve in deep into each area. So you have to be across that, all sections of your business to be really outstanding. And so for that, it was an incredible honour for us, because when you're a charity is a business is difficult to run. Add on to that a charity in the not-for-profit space. To me, it's so important that every dollar counts, because every dollar wasted is a dollar we can't spend in homelessness. And every dollar saved is a dollar that we can. So to have those business principles behind us, and knowing that businesses are efficient ways of operating, they are driven for that, and understanding that by having those in place, we can be the most effective, efficient charity, and know that we're governed well, and that we're transparent completely.
So you don't come from a corporate background with all of those mission statements and people and culture, the values and all that sort of stuff. You've come out of social services, right?
Yeah, largely social services. It started my career was actually in hospitality management. And they've collided well together, because it's great hospitality that we're providing, and our rooms there was 5-star hotels that I was involved with. So I've really tried to carry that across into dignity in everything that we do, and so have had some experience in that, and also had some smaller businesses myself.
So how do you go about, just the whole charity piece is massive, but how do you go about navigating all of those corporate things and making sure that you're growing the team?
Well, that's it. It's the team. It's the team. Okay. It's actually giving in and saying, I don't know everything.
Okay.
And I don't, but there's a way to learn it, or there's a way to ask somebody expert in that field to how to do something, or asking them to do it. Our CFO is a qualified accountant, with exceptional expertise. We also have a board of directors, with corporate background and governance, or corporate experience and knowledge that I suck up like a sponge, but we also so I think in anything you do, it's giving in to say, if I
don't know everything.
I don't, and not to pretending you do. So advisors along the way, our advisory board that we have in place as well contribute massively to where we are. You can't do anything alone.
No, and being I think I don't want to be I don't really want to be sexist, but I think women are really good at sort of saying I don't know it all. And being happy to get advice. You don't have to be right all the time. Just ask lots of questions and make your best decisions.
Yes.
I'm having computer stuff going on around me too, so my apologies. Before I let you go, I just want to know where the majority of homelessness is caused by what?
Well, there's no two stories that are ever alike. If we look at each segment, so look at youth, look at older women is the growing.
I know that, over 55.
Yes, absolutely. And if you look at those causes alone, there's complex, but a lot of them are quite obvious. And with the gender pay gap and with reduced superannuation, and it makes sense. With an aging population, we're going to see more and more of that. And then we look at, as I say, that it's usually not one thing that has caused homelessness. It's usually several that have collided together to create the homelessness. But it's important to break that stereotype. Homelessness can happen to anybody. and it's no longer, you know, the stereotypical image of, you know, the man on the street with the brown paper bag. It's happening to you know very much broader sense.
Happens to people like all of us, unfortunately.
It really does.
If people want to know more about how they can get involved, I think you've got volunteer programs. Is there a website that we can refer people to?
Yes, absolutely. Jump on our website, dignity.org.au. But connecting with our socials, we're across all platforms, and that's where we're really active in ways of putting out ways that we need help and assistance, but also learning more about homelessness and in general. So.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure a lot of people will be checking you out. I'll look forward to seeing you on my road trip with the REI, and I'm so glad that we found you and that we've connected and that we can continue to support the incredible work that you do. So thank you so much for being with us.
No, thank you. And yes, and we value partnering with the Real Estate Institute of New South Wales, and also that's fabulous members that you have.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.